What is going on?
Shall we get right into it?
Let's do it.
So, Star Wars Squadrons has been revealed.
Yes, it has. And after teasing it last week, Electronic Arts has officially announced Star Wars Squadrons, described as an immersive first person space dogfighting experience. Squadrons is scheduled to release on October 2nd for PS4, Xbox One, and PC.
The game will also be playable in virtual reality on PS4 and PC, though EA did not specify which headsets will be supported. Let's watch the cinematic trailer that was released today.
More Star Wars VR, sign me up.
This game looks sick already, honestly.
It does.
I can't shake them.
Anybody in the chat remember the Rogue Squadron VR mission that came out where you could play it with Battlefront 2?
That's so intense to be able to do this in VR.
Yeah.
And the graphics look great, honestly.
Yeah. And what we should expect from the Star Wars games as they continually
That is true.
great.
Pilots, you are the Empire's strength. We do not accept defeat.
Remember why we fly. For hope. For the new republic.
Vengeance will be ours.
Yeah, there was one. This was like a side mission that came out VR support
Seize that moment.
for Battlefront.
I'm the perfect shot. Makes history.
Just the details and the reflections and everything.
Yeah.
5 pilots.
One squadron.
The galaxy's finest.
Also wonder if they'll implement some sort of like visuals, like some skins, not just to your
Yes,
pilot, maybe your ship, maybe even
please.
your droid as well.
Wow, sign me up!
I'm ready. Seriously, this is. Whew. Yeah.
That's looking clean.
Yep.
Even though it wasn't announced what headsets it'll be supported on for VR, I would say we could maybe safely assume that it will be on PSVR because this will be available for the PlayStation 4.
And I would assume it being on PC as well. PC VR headsets will run it. Which ones? We don't know. Of course, we'll have to wait to confirm that, but it would also be a strong assumption as well.
So while EA is officially announcing the game today, the company is holding back the first gameplay footage until EA Play 2020 on June 18th. Squadrons is developed by Motive Studios in association with Lucasfilm, and it will feature a dedicated single-player mode and multiple multiplayer modes with no microtransactions.
No microtransactions. That is a big shocker.
Big
The
surprise.
Motive Studios creative director, Ian Fraser, said this in a statement. We created this game for every Star Wars fan who has ever dreamt about soaring across the galaxy and their favorite starfighter.
In multiplayer, you play as a starfighter pilot who will control a number of the iconic New Republic and Imperial ships. Together with 4 others in your squad, you'll take part in strategic multiplayer space battles. The end goal in the Fleet Battles mode is to take out the other team's flagship. Another mode, Dogfights, challenges players to work together to take down as many enemy ships as possible.
Squadrons will feature rich cosmetic and game affecting customization options. Players will earn these cosmetics through gameplay exclusive. EA said this. That's an important distinction to make, in part because Star Wars Battlefront 2 was heavily criticized for its microtransactions.
Squadrons features crossplay between PS4, Xbox One, PC, and VR, so you can play with friends no matter what platform they are on. It marks another crossplay game for EA following the recent addition of the feature to Need for Speed Heat.
And in terms of the single player story, it's set after the events of Return of the Jedi, during the final days of the Empire and beginning of the New Republic. The game tells an original story, but the press release announcing the game did not say if it's officially canon.
Pre-order for Star Wars Squadrons are available now. Squadrons is not a full price game. It will cost $40 USD.
It's two people that own VR headsets for PC. How do you feel about Star Wars Squadrons?
This game looks like an insta buy to me. What about you?
Blind buy for sure.
I don't even need to see the gameplay.
And the reason why I say this is because I think for what I recognized from that one mission that came out a couple of years ago, everyone who played it, it was just a memory you kind of like left with when you got done. You were like, wow, that needs to be its own experience. Here it is right here. I think it's called Rogue One mission or whatever. I can't remember the exact name, but this was just so good and so well done. And for me to say if it's anything like this and it takes anything that they did from the Vader Immortal stuff, this is gonna be really strong.
I was going to say that Vader Immortal was incredible. I thought it was very well done. It was very sleek. All the gameplay was really cool. The story was amazing. And I think that if we're going to see any elements of that over in this game, which I assume so, because, you know, it is still under the whole umbrella of Star Wars, that this is also going to be phenomenal.
I'm also extremely excited about the announcements of the cosmetics because that is something that's great. If you're telling me that you get to change what you see inside the cockpit, what maybe the look of your ship has, maybe the look of your droid, that you'll have all these options and that you grind to get them. I mean, you're speaking to the new generation in gaming's desire, which is really like, let me make this connect with me and in my representation of who I am.
To me, honestly, the announcement that there weren't going to be microtransactions is as big a deal as just this game being announced, because we are talking about EA and they're saying no microtransactions. They realize they messed that up really, really badly for Star Wars Battlefront 2. And I'm glad to see that they've actually listened to the community in this case. And it seems like there is a lot of excitement already for this game. And I hope that means more people will play it and more people will buy it. And in the long run, this will actually, you know, benefit them monetarily.
I will say, in agreement with what you just said, I will add to that clearly Electronic Arts recognized they need to make some changes in the way in which they implemented their business models, and how what matters most is a consumer's happiness to be able to pursue these achievements and not have to pay for them. And I wouldn't be surprised if they were like, hey, you can still buy them if you'd like to buy them, but you can unlock everything on a grind. And that's something for me that I'm fine with. You know what I mean? Like, let me have the option to choose. If I am making a little extra money and I want to buy that cosmetic instead of waiting for it and grinding for it, let me do that. But if it don't make it solely about that. And to your point, the fact that they're listening and changing, and the fact that the way they handled Battlefront 2 the way they did at the end, I would hope this is EA turning a new leaf as we move into the next gen consoles. We move into more content within VR, specifically around Star Wars, because there's a consumer base that I think wants to jump into virtual reality. And how many of those people are Star Wars fans that are really excited about getting involved with immersive Star Wars storytelling?
I'm sure a huge amount, and I feel like EA has been doing a great job lately, honestly, surprisingly, which is all good news, especially after Fallen Order and the fan acclaimed final years of Battlefront 2. I'm looking forward to this, and I don't have any doubts that this can be a knock out of the park game. Like, I'm not scared that this is going to be handled poorly. I think especially with the turnaround of Battlefront 2 and how it was like it was really a years long process to get the game to where fans were really happy with it, was impressive. That this, you know, that those steps were taken to change the game to be a positive experience.
Yeah, and I would say too, you would ask that with talking about Fallen Order and seeing what happened with Battlefront 2. We all have to ask ourselves, do we trust EA with Star Wars? Do we trust it is moving in the right direction? And I would say, for me personally, I maybe don't trust them entirely. And that obviously comes with, my own personal experience having worked for EA, but also just my experience as a consumer. But I want to recognize when it seems like people are turning going in a new direction. I believe in forgiveness and restoration, and those aspects of life need to be there as human beings. So if they are trying to restore themselves to be on the side of the consumer and not just worry about our wallets, then yeah, I would say it'll start to build my trust back in them.
There are very few titles that to me are a blind buy that I'm totally about buying without seeing the gameplay, without reading any reviews, without seeing any streamers talk about it. And Squadrons already looks like it's going to be fantastic. I really hope it comes running straight out of the gate. I would hate for this to be for this game to be dropped and then have the gameplay may like not be as fun as anticipated. But my hopes are high that this is going to be a good one.
And then there's a little tiny question, and Maddie threw this out for a brief second that I was like, this could be really cool. Is this dogfight mode of X-wings versus TIE fighters? It's like,
Mhm.
are we possibly looking at maybe some sort of competitive scene within space battle VR Star Wars? Where could we see this grow, where this actually the competitive scene becomes something that people want to get involved in more?
That's what I'm hoping for. That's my initial thought was, I think that's what they kind of wanted with Battlefront. They wanted some fan service of obviously with the characters and the different battles, but I think ultimately when you're making a multiplayer game, you want it to be competitive, right? You at least for the most part. I think them what in their press release they talk specifically about the immersive competitive nature of this game, and so
Yeah.
and that it's going to be kind of $40. So I don't think we're gonna get like this full crazy big like Jedi Fallen Order game. I think we're gonna more get a game like Rocket League, which I think still is what, $30, right? Around that
20.
$20, $30, around that kind of like price point, which is like this is more an arena. Like a PUBG is also like around that price point too. Here's an
Yeah.
arena for you to play in,
Right.
kind of
Yeah.
a thing.
And the arena, I mean, think about that. Arena aerial battles, you're never going to get the same experience twice. It's always going to have a different feel to it when you're competing. A lot of people played Ace Combat's virtual reality and said that Ace Combat's VR was amazing, and this was something that they would love to see more of. And this could actually create that space where kind of like a game recently for Quest, Echo VR, the one that's
Right.
the competitive there, that we might start to see more of this from these bigger developers going, can we create a competitive scene within virtual reality?
I think that's a great point about the price point because like Overwatch is about 20 30
Yeah.
$40, and that is the price point for like a competitive multiplayer game. And if there is these modes where you are dogfighting, and it is this multiplayer highly competitive, we've been seeing a trend of a lot of games moving towards space and spaceship space battle with Boundary, with Echo VR, and in kind of in omnidirectional movement.
Yeah.
And I could see this game being a strong contender for an esport for tournaments.
Yeah. And I would go ahead and say this. You haven't done virtual reality before. Please don't let this be your first VR experience. You're most likely going to get queasy and you might throw up. So let's just be honest that you're going to want to break
Start sitting
into
down.
this. Yeah, because this is
Keep
one of
sitting
those
down.
where I can already imagine you're like, oh god, you know what I mean? So with that
Right.
in mind, yeah, start dipping the toes in now if you can.
Our next topic that we'll be discussing is Fortnite's The Device event.
So this is pretty huge, as it is a big day with Fortnite. I myself not really understanding what's going on. So Kaiser, I'm going to need your help here, as this Doomsday Live event went down earlier this morning for us on the West Coast.
Let's have a look and live react to what happened. So at the start of it, there's a little bit of lead up to what was going to happen. A lot of players are waiting. This whole season, Chapter 2, Season 2 has been about the agency and secret agents, and there's all these secret agent like bunkers that you go in and infiltrate. You eliminate the henchmen, you break into their vaults, you steal their weapons, and there's a lot of turrets, and there's phone booths where you can change your outfit into a disguise as well, so you blend in with the henchmen. And it
Wow.
seems like there's been this whole season long lead up to what's actually going to happen with the agency, and some of these leaks or some of these teasers that Fortnite's actually going to be moving to an underwater map.
Which would then create, if it's real, an omnidirectional competitive shooter.
I hope we see some of that in this event that happened. I saw like maybe a couple minutes earlier today, and I didn't see any of the omnidirectional things, but also maybe they're holding out until the next season actually hits to reveal that before this event. So there's a device. Go ahead.
in the Travis Scott concert, there was a moment where you're underwater and you were able to swim around and move around.
So apparently there is a device on Midas's desk, and Midas is the tier 100 skin of the Battle Pass, and this event seems to be based around that secret device.
Yeah, I hear you, Neon. They are doing a great job.
Yeah, they're going all out, for real. This music is so intense.
Yeah.
I'm always a big fan of when they change the gravity in Fortnite.
Yeah. I mean, everything about this is so professional.
This looks like something straight out of like a superhero movie. What?
What?
They transport you in the office. It's like, it feels like a story mode there. Yeah, like a Stanley Parable.
There's a first-person moment, too.
Yeah, yeah, good point.
You possibly gonna see first-person?
That would be sick. Fortnite story mode! Rain. Yeah, it feels like there's like an evil villain taking over.
Hey, Marone, how does this feel versus the Destiny 2 event, by the way?
Oh my god. This is one of those moments where if you work for Bungie, you're like, guys, we can't do another live event until we can come anywhere near it.
I feel like more has happened in these past few minutes than the entire Destiny 2 event, right?
The Destiny 2 event was literally watching paint dry. There was Goons.
Oh, what happens now?
Also, when you're making this much money, your event should be like this.
They should, yeah.
There's no
If you have this much money, there's no excuse.
No, everything is not stable over here. We are Janice, dial the resonance actuator to 7.2. Now, please, yes, right now.
I'm on it.
Wait, hold on. It's not just a storm. What does that mean?
This is so cool.
Must be connected to the loop, but there's no way we could have predicted that it would react this.
Wow! Look at those like boats, like see some like
Yeah.
fish in there and sharks.
That's
and
sharks
stuff.
or in whales.
That's cool. You can swim in that water. I hear that it's like, it still pushes you, it kind of pushes you out of the water.
So is it kind of one of those situations where like you lose your breath or you lose oxygen? If you
Oh,
stay in
does
it too
it?
long?
Is anyone in the chat now?
Maybe get attacked by sharks or.
And maybe you still take
dangerous
damage
creatures?
from that.
How long do you think it'll hold? Good. Good. Everything is starting to stabilize here. Nothing seems to be.
Jonesy.
What the? Are you even? Wait. Can you hear me? Hear me?
I love how there's still the Deadpool balloon on there.
This is crazy.
Wow. I'm wondering if that's going to be the whole map or if it's just for this specific event. Or if right now this is the whole Fortnite map. That's so much smaller. Just in this specific game. Cool, I can still do my challenges.
Of course.
So that's basically the event. And so when I was watching other streamers play the game afterwards, the map is still the same, but basically what it is the no longer is there the circle. The circle is the water. And
I see.
I think Kaisa, we were talking about this earlier. I think when you're in the water, you basically can float around, but it kind of pushes you out. So think of it like the water in this scenario is like more like the gas in Warzone. And people are speculating maybe there'll be like an animation where like you get into scuba gear, like you do a gas mask in Warzone.
That'd be cool.
That you put on a gas mask. Maybe they'll add like scuba gear as like a skin that
suit.
you get.
A rebreather, like just one of the
Yeah,
masks.
something
would
like
be
that.
really
Yeah.
cool.
But it's not like there's a lot of Fortnite lingo I don't understand. But like some of the streamers are talking about how you can basically still heal people up when you're outside the circle, or like you can kind of like they were saying some word, but I guess you can't do
Right.
that. Like it seems like outside the circle is way more
Oh.
limited now because of the water.
I see. Yeah, it used to
Wow.
be like if someone gets like knocked down, like you can heal them and then like
That's what it
carry them,
was.
like, over the line.
And now it's basically impossible to heal someone outside of the quote unquote circle
Interesting.
because of the water.
That's a
Good
big
thing
change.
I play solos, so I don't have to heal my teammates.
I've been in Warzone having to
with
heal people in the
randoms are
gas
so
while
bad
while
about
I
it.
run out my gas mask. So yeah, I know what you mean. This is great.
But yeah,
That's cool.
pretty significant change for Fortnite, it seems.
Yeah.
Yeah, big change. I was wondering what was going to happen because the title of the event was so vague. It was just like the device, and it's like, cool. What does that
Great.
mean? But
What
it's
does that
just-
mean?
They've done a good job keeping with the theme, with the agency. I think like already in this, they've made bigger changes to Fortnite already, with even just the storm turning into water than other
Yeah.
battle royales have done with a whole new season.
Yeah.
I thought this was well done.
I do. Agreed. I mean, hats off to Epic Games for another just amazing event and not under delivering, some underwhelming experience like Destiny 2 did. So
I'm looking forward to see what Warzone's next move is, because they did say they want to do a lot of Fortnite style events, Fortnite like events, and I mean that's a Fortnite like event is you kind of change up the an integral part of your game, the storm and the circles, and changing the map as well with that spire that came up and the electric things that came off. So
if you're gonna
Warzone,
make that
your
comment,
move.
if you're gonna make that comment, Fortnite like events, you have a high bar to hit.
Very high
You
bar.
cannot come under that bar. And in Warzone's case, they would have no excuse with the billions of dollars they've been making to under deliver a Fortnite like event.
Right. I would say as long as your event isn't as terrible as Destiny 2's event, then you're probably at least in the clear, because at least you weren't the worst event out there.
Yep.
Pod's next
Well-
event is the object.
I will say this much, that last week with the PlayStation 5 reveal, I think all of us were blown away getting to see the trailers and see the console and notice, why is it so big?
Why? So all of the gaming world has been talking about the PlayStation 5 since its reveal last week. The memes have been aplenty, but inquiring minds have started to wonder about just how big the futuristic console is.
Yeah, I disagree with you, Coombs. I do not find this ugly at all. I just do recognize how large it actually looks. So, thanks to a Reddit user size comparison using the USB and disk drive for measurement, it seems like the PS5 is actually pretty huge and a lot bigger than previous consoles, even that fat launch PS3.
So the answer as to why the PS5 is such a behemoth was found on the LinkedIn page of the Vice President of UX Design at PlayStation, Matt McLaurin. A comment on a photo of the PS5 asked McLaurin why the console is so big compared to the PS4 and other consoles.
McLaurin said thermals. This gen is little supercomputers, while the 7 NM process delivers amazing heat performance for the power is very extreme.
So while the PS5 is going to take up a lot more space on shelves and entertainment centers than previous consoles, there seems to be a good reason for it. This console is going to be powerful.
And McLaurin said the tech is still so fresh, it throws a lot of heat, so we need some room to dissipate.
I think it's interesting how technology usually starts big and bulky, like phones or with the OG consoles, and then phones get a lot slimmer and slimmer and smaller, and now they're getting bigger and bigger again because people want bigger screens. And this is kind of a similar trend to me of consoles starting out huge, becoming more compact, and then becoming, monsters again just because of the technology. Honestly, I don't mind that the PS5 is huge if that means that it's so powerful that it needs to circulate air better and make sure all its parts are kept nice and cooled.
Yeah. I mean, for anyone who owns a gaming PC, you understand you got to take up some size
Fans
in
on
order to
fans on
have
fans.
these parts, and you want those fans. Yeah, and they're important. They increase the longevity of all of the mechanical infrastructure going on inside, and they really do. They're necessary. And this is just one of those things that I feel like we kind of have to embrace with the fact that there's only a certain point in which you can make something so small that it's no longer usable. So there's a size factor going on here for the CPU and for the GPU and for all the other parts that they've put in for the audio, also for the the dual sense aspect. So there's so much to that I'm cool with it. I think for me, it's like, yeah, as a console, it's big and it's bigger than any other console I can think of. But I look at the little, rectangular tower that the Xbox Series X is, and I'm like, that's still pretty big. And I felt the same about OG Xbox as well.
When I think about consoles, unless it's maybe a handheld one, I don't consider size as a pro or con, or really as a factor. Like, unless it's so big it's not going to fit next to my TV or under my TV, then maybe that might be a problem. But I don't think that this is going to be a problem for many people.
Yeah. And maybe what they're saying is like, here's the large version, and then like PS5 Slim will come out, and then that's going to blow everybody's mind.
Right, and I'm sure they're going to do a great job of putting that technology in a slimmer space, and maybe at a lower price point, I believe, is for the Slims. We've already seen a little variation because there's a PS5 with a disk drive and one without. So I'm looking forward to what else we're going to see in the future. There's already been hints at different designs of the PS5 for different games. For example, a Horizon Forbidden West, is it?
Horizon
Coast?
Yeah, something like that. Horizon
That one.
West.
There's going to be like a Horizon PS5. Forbidden West.
Yeah, I for me, I think in terms of the comparison of the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5, the PlayStation 5 is the more visually appealing console. I mean, it actually went for the attempt at looking futuristic. And the Xbox Series X just seemed like they were like, hey, we need to cut costs down. So just straight lines all around.
I could see the Xbox Series X as like a console I'd kind of like hide behind a plant next to the TV to be like, this is in my house, but it's not going to take up like, all my space in the living room. Meanwhile, for the PS5, I'm like, put that right on there.
I can't wait to see somebody like take like a napkin they've used and like shoot it at the Xbox Series X thing, just like a trash can. They're like, oh, I thought that was a trash can. I'm so sorry.
One. So, more PS5 news is that the PS5 user interface is a 100% overhaul of the PS4's.
So, after teasing the startup screen of the PlayStation 5 during its reveal stream last week, more information about the console's UI was revealed this morning.
Matt McLaurin also dropped further new details about the PS5 UI on his LinkedIn page, giving fans to be more excited about.
So McLaurin was asked about the PlayStation 5's UI and said it be shown soon and that it's 100% overhaul of the PS4 UI and some very different new concepts.
McLaurin said, as its UI, it's practical first, but it's a whole new visual language and a complete re-architecting of the user interface. It's a very interesting evolution of the OS, more subtle than flashy, but no pixel is untouched.
He also teased that there would be a special editions of the PlayStation 5 console down the line, adding that he's personally hoping for that Horizon Forbidden West special edition.
It sounds like PlayStation fans have a lot to look forward to when it comes to the console's UI. Meanwhile, Xbox has revealed that the Series X's dashboard will be the same as the Xbox One X.
Not surprised.
Not surprised. This shows such a stark contrast between how Sony and Microsoft are approaching the next gen. Before we heard all these details, it kind of seems like maybe they were going to be relatively similar, while going in slightly different directions. But this seems like a huge difference for Sony to have this really sleek design, to have this UI overhaul, and for the Xbox Series X to look like a PC tower, really, and to just really stick to what it knows with its UI.
I think something that we can see as a trend in Sony is if we go back and look at like PlayStation 1 to PlayStation 2, it's not really like a huge difference in terms of the boot up, startup, and selecting and getting in there and playing. PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4, very similar scroll bars and UIs, some differences. And of course, with the new OS upgrade that they did more recently on the PlayStation 4, they did more major changes, but now they're going, hey, look, we got a new console. We're going into a new generation of gaming. We need to make everything new. So let's make sure that when a user sits down and puts the PS5 in action, it feels new across the board. And I think that speaks volumes to PlayStation looking at the consumer's perspective on the console, whereas Microsoft just seems to kind of be phoning it in. You know what I mean? It's like, we ran the race.
Right. They're just sticking to what they know. And there was a little bit of a teaser with the UI in the PS5 event where it was just like press the PS button on your controller to start up, and you could see kind of the light in the background, and it looks like dust or particles kind of floating around the screen. And I thought that even this is a great visual demo of what the PS5 can do, that this is just like a generic screen you'll see all the time, but the way the lights flicker and move around, it shows the visual appeal of it already.
Yeah, I would say, for me, I was thinking about it when I said what I said, which was kind of like, it's like if you're a sprinter and you're going up against Usain Bolt while he's at his prime, you're just kind of like, I'm here to run.
Like I'm doing my race.
I'm not winning.
I'm not going to win this.
I'm just here to say I showed up. I think that's exactly what we're seeing here. Like Sony is really going hard out the gate and doing things that Xbox should be doing, but ultimately just feels like they're like, yeah, we're not really concerned about the hardware. We're not really concerned about making big changes. We just want to make sure we give you that game experience that you've known from us, and that's where we're coming.
Right, we saw some games that will be out on the Xbox Series X, and a lot of them are pretty lackluster. Meanwhile, the PS5 event was massive. I thought they've done a good job with their messaging around the PlayStation. The whole controller reveal was big. The Unreal Engine 5 demo was a massive event, and that YouTube video had a ton of views. And I agree, it seems like Xbox is just kind of taking the L here.
Yeah. And I would also add this, and it's something that was pointed out to me, I think last year when we were first talking about the specs of the PlayStation 5, because I see we need to talk about price point. We don't know what the price point is. I think one of the things that we can accept is that Sony will consider taking a loss on consoles. They did it already, and they made their money back. They took, I think it was a $30 loss on every PlayStation 4 that they sold, and they were okay doing that, because where they made the money was in their subscriptions and peripherals that came along with the console, and that's where the strength lies. So yes, there might be that concern of a $699 price tag or a price tag around there, but also take into consideration in the past, they have been willing to lose upfront.
So our next topic is Guerrilla Collective trailers. So instead of, there's no E3 this year, but there is a lot more space for some smaller games to really get their spot in the spotlight, to get their time in the spotlight. And we've got some for you.
Check these out.
So Guerrilla Collective is a multi-day showcase focused on indie and mid-sized studios, hosted by Kinda Funny co-founder Greg Miller. The event wrapped up its live streams over the weekend, and we're going to showcase a few of the trailers that premiered during the event, starting out with Ghost Runner.
This was a game I saw a trailer for a couple of months ago, and I'm really excited about this game. It's like a Mirror's Edge, Dishonored, roguelike experience.
Relax. Embrace the software.
You take one hit and you're done.
Wow. I saw in the comments it was like, oh, Genji from Overwatch finally has his own game.
Ha.
These aesthetics I feel like are very on trend with what we've seen from like Control or games like Pistol Whip or Super Hot. I feel like I get the same kind of vibes of futuristic, blocky, fading in and out. Neon is all about the music. That game looks cool.
Yeah, I would say this is hopefully a procedurally generated experience. I would love to know that they've figured that out for this, because then the replay factor of this game is through the roof.
That's true. I also feel like someone took the idea of Blade Runner and literally made it, hey, let's have a runner game with a blade. There we go.
Yep.
It looks great.
Also going to be curious too to see like what is the trend of streaming this game, you know, only using your blade or trying to jump and avoid everything. There's a lot of strength in what we're seeing here, and for me this is like one of those kind of like I can't remember the one that's coming out for PlayStation 5 that they were showing off. That's the day She Lives Day After Day. Returnal, thank you. Yes. For me to see this trend pick up more, and especially in more of the high quality graphics versus, you know, something like this, like Hotline Miami, which is just, you know, more of that kind of 8-bit look. I think this speaks volumes.
I think so too. Our next game that we have to show you is called Icarus.
Don't fly too close to the sun. Oh, this is that co-op survival game. This is a co-op survival horror game that NVIDIA was showing off.
Oh, we're the big spider? Maybe I'm thinking of a different one.
No. This was one I saw on the internet recently. Which it is you and a friend, you basically have to work together to survive.
That's cool. Oh, Fortnite building. Just kidding.
Yeah. Graphics are great. Wow.
Oh.
Someone dead. Oxygen running out.
It feels to me like Death Stranding and Rust combined.
Yeah.
Icarus.
Cool. I think you know, the genre of a co-op survival, you know, aspect is very strong right now, and more friends and co-op type players want this experience.
I'm a big fan of these co-op games. This game looks super cool. The graphics look great. The environment looks great. I like how you're still using a bow and arrow, even though it's.
Do you notice that tree fall down in the back? Can you actually run that back real quick? Look in the distance.
Oh yeah.
What is knocking those trees over?
Ominous.
Huh. Large monsters, maybe, like that are in the planet, or maybe other people on the planet knocking trees down to build from. I don't know. But I wouldn't be surprised if there were some arc aspects in this where there's huge creatures on the planet.
I could definitely see that as well.
The next trailer we have coming up is Say No More.
I love the idea, the concept for this game.
Hey, you! Did you just start your internship?
Welcome, intern.
And were destroyed by your coworkers!
Make me coffee.
Copy these papers.
Bad hair day alert.
Your supervisor probably just stole your lunch!
Thanks, intern.
And the problem is, you are too shy to say something!
I don't see coffee.
Hashtag
But don't
relatable.
worry! All you need is just one word! It's the word no! No!
Whoa!
You work late today. No!
Whoa! Be nice to our supervisor.
Clean the coffee maker.
No!
No.
Yes! You learned well!
Big leg.
Hey, keep it down.
Hey, let's go. Okay, you can. What is this madness?
I love that so much. Just say no more. Leon says, where do I get this? What are you thinking, Maroon?
Yeah. That was a game trailer.
Nice. Official Maroon review. That was a game trailer.
That was a game trailer. Cool. Great.
Kyle
Awesome.
Mighty says this helps people who are pushovers and are afraid to say no. I feel like these are a lot of people's like fantasy of how they wish that their workday would go. Is they could just be like, no, I'm not doing it. This lets them live out their dreams.
Wow.
An incredibly different game we've got coming up next is Sound Mind, which a lot of people have
Ooh.
described as very, I believe it's this one that's Alan Wake-y.
Ooh, Alan Wakey. I'm sure he does want to wake.
They say fear is just a state of mind.
It's true.
A locked door that traps you inside it. But once you find the key to your terror, fear will no longer exist.
Yeah, I definitely
what a
see
bunch
the Alan
of
Wake vibe.
bullshit.
Wow,
I like it. It looks cool. It looks cool to me.
I do too. Look at that. You can actually play the demo right now.
Gotta hop on it.
Yeah, I mean, you like these kind of games, right? You like horror games. You
Yeah,
look-
horror game, spooky, kind of
This
like losing your mind.
speaks to you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Looks cool.
I mean, even for me, I'm
Big
like, I
fan.
probably not play it, but I'm happy to watch someone play it.
It's called Sound Mind.
That's pretty cool.
Our next game is also pretty ethereal, but in a totally different way, and it's called Skate Story.
Ooh, I wonder if it has to do anything with skating.
What? Oh, sick skateboard, bro! So this game is really like kind of it's not quite lo-fi, but it's like lo-fi, kind of psychedelic, like very zen. Again, with kind of like the super hot aesthetics. And
Was
the
this like Res but
controls-
with skateboard?
It's like you just like skateboard down the way. You're skateboarding.
Yeah. Did you ever play Res?
I didn't play Res.
Okay.
And the controls look pretty difficult. It's not like Tony Hawk where you can just kind of like spam all the buttons and do tricks. It's you have to like carefully like push down and pop and position your feet and like jump at the right point.
Oh, that's cool. I like that a lot.
You have to like really like perfect your tricks.
What controller are they showing right now?
I don't know. Generic controller in the test lab diagram.
I always feel like this is like a cartoon. If you ever see like cartoon gaming, you know, they
yeah,
always
they
do
make
some
their
sort of
own thing.
version of a controller. This. It's like a cutting board, but a controller.
Right. So this
Oh my
might win an
goodness.
award for most chill game of the year, because that's what it looks like to me.
Yeah. This could be a lot of fun. This could be one of those games where, kind of like Rocket League, where you're like, I want to get down the mechanics. I want to be able to
Yeah.
link together just so many amazing combinations. And that people who play it, they're like, how do you do this? That's kind of the thing that I always got from when I played Rocket League. People be like, how do you do stuff like that? And I'm like, I've just put in thousands of hours into playing. So this could really be one of those games that seeks that kind of attention.
I love how the only part of the person that you can see are just the shoes, because you
Yeah.
gotta have the skate shoes.
Wonder if those are customizable too.
He's wearing those Vans though. If they were customizable, that would be cool, because it looks
That
like you
would be
can't really
pretty
customize much else.
Nope. The scarf and the shoes.
Right.
Our
Gonna have
next
to
game that
play
we're
on
going to
there.
be showing is one with a very interesting title, Gory Cuddly Carnage. Made by Angry Demon.
It's living up to its name already.
Okay.
Also a skate game.
Is that a hoverboard from Back to the Future?
Oh, you're trying to kill the monsters with your hoverboard?
It's like a hoverboard meets a lightsaber
Like
meets.
Beyblade?
Yeah. This
Yeah,
looks
meets
fun.
circular saw.
This looks fun.
That's cool. That looks really cool.
What a name.
Gory cuddly carnage.
Let's just address the beginning of the unicorn's legs extending and then it
Yeah,
turning
and
into
all
just a
going
horrifying
bloody.
creature. Yeah.
Spooky.
I wouldn't recommend playing this right before bed.
Probably not, unless you want your nightmares to look something like this. Which maybe you do. It's an aesthetic. It's a vibe.
Yeah. Wow. It does look fun.
Wow, looks fun. Explosion of color. Very, very Birds of Prey vibes to an extent. Birds of Prey aesthetic was in a video game. Puss in Boots' life took a major turn.
Yeah, it did. This is Puss in Boots reincarnated.
And finally, let's check out the trailer for Midnight Ghost Hunt.
Ooh, maybe another scary game. Okay, co-op experience looks like.
Ghost Hunter experience?
Okay.
Oh, but
I think-
also
I think this game was accessible as a beta. Because I feel like I've seen footage of this game before where you get to turn into like different objects and stuff like that. And the people are trying to hunt you. Yeah, this is awesome.
it's like Luigi's Mansion, but not for children under the age of 8.
Yeah.
This looks cool. I like
It
how you
really
have your like,
does.
little machine and stuff.
I also wonder how much of an asymmetrical online experience it is, because I would imagine that these are other players
question.
playing the ghosts, and then you have the people online together. So maybe it's one of those situations, 1 or 2 ghosts for ghost hunters. I don't know, but this could be a lot of fun.
I wonder how stealthy you can be as a ghost if someone needs a detector to find you.
Yeah.
Interesting stuff.
Yeah, I ain't afraid of no ghosts.
I ain't afraid of no ghosts, and I'm here to prove it.
Well, Guerrilla Collective, I would say they definitely, other than that one game that I had absolutely nothing to say about, I was really, really into all those games.
Those look cool. That was a cool big announcement. Is it slew of games, some of which you can play the demos for right now, and some that will come out in a little bit in the future, but all good things to look forward to.
Yep. Well, let's talk about, for our last 10 minutes, the rumor mill.
The rumor mill.
Dun, dun, dun.
Our first rumor is Call of Duty Warzone's 200 player modes seemingly coming soon.
There was definitely a leak a few months ago that has played out in the way in which the data mining of the files were shown, and there was an indication of a larger VR in that. And now from this screenshot, people were able to zoom in very closely to the far left and seeing some of the options, and you will see the BR 200.
This is a mode that I will definitely not play. Part of why I think Warzone is not for me is because the game is so long and there's so many ways to respawn. And now I'm just thinking about a 200 player mode with jailbreak and with buybacks and with coming back from the gulag. And this seems like a lot to me, but maybe it'll be fun for others.
I would only hope that in the 200 mode, it's going to get rid of buybacks, maybe loadouts. I would really, really hope that they don't keep what they have right now in the game for the 200 mode, because you're right. I don't want to sit down and play a BR, one game of a BR for 45 minutes to 2 hours because of this.
Coop says, I'm going to get 199 kill game. Boom, easy, done. Raising that bar there. 200 players is a lot. When Warzone initially came out with 150 player mode, a lot of people were fans, but others were just thinking, this is just too many people. There's a reason that Battle Royales don't have 300, 400, 1,000 people in a game, because at some point it doesn't really add anything to the gameplay.
Yeah.
So if this is coming soon, I'm definitely looking forward to what people are going to be saying on the forums.
They have to do things to mitigate the amount of time that this could add. Just earlier today, playing a session of a jailbreak happened. Hadn't seen a jailbreak in a couple of days since we talked about it. And honestly, we went in third to the second to last circle, and 67 players were still going. And I was just like, this is absurd, because the moment everybody gets pushed together, it's just pure chaos. You're just like fourth, fifth party. They're just these massive shootouts happening. And it's like, it's not fun. I'm going to be honest. Like, it's not like one of those things where you're like, oh yeah, let me experience this again. You're like, no, I don't want to have to go through that again.
I think it's like cool and like exciting and maybe even clickbaity to read about, or to maybe watch, like, whoa, like 200 people in a map, like that's so crazy, like no other BR has done this. But to actually play it, as he said, is a different experience and
really
not
is.
nearly as enticing.
Yeah, it's super stressful. And that's the part for me, is like the game is already stressful, and now you've made it even more stressful. And then adding that jailbreak feature. I don't need to have that same concern of playing a 200 mode and have all of that happening. It's just,
I wonder if and when this is going to come out. Maybe this is going to be a season 4 thing with season 4 out. Maybe this is going to be like an exciting thing that they bring out. Maybe it's going to be like BR Classic Trios, where it's only going to last
3 days.
Yes, 3 days, and then it's going to be gone. And maybe they did want it there just for the hype and excitement.
The memes.
The memes. There will be lots of memes.
Well, my first request would be Trios Classic first, and then everything else after.
Bring that back, please. Infinity Ward. Another rumor we have is Forza Motorsport 8 to have randomly generated tracks. What?
Yes, big games, big studios attempting this needs to happen.
So on a LinkedIn profile, someone listed that they, quote, worked on procedural generation of tracks. So as this Reddit post says, this could either mean a part of the track or even the whole track could be RNG based. And in the comments, some people say maybe it's really just to dress tracks and to add textures and effects in a procedurally generated way. But if they are procedurally generated tracks, that would be super fun.
This is where it requires your mechanics to actually be good and that you are ready for anything that it can throw at you. I hope this is true. I hope this is the full track is randomly and procedurally generated. Sorry.
I love how we've been hearing a lot of new things in gaming today from LinkedIn. From LinkedIn profiles or people commenting on LinkedIn. I don't know if LinkedIn is trying to be like the hot new gaming spot for gaming news, but I guess as more gaming professionals, often move into more traditional forms of business, I guess it's no surprise that we're seeing a lot from LinkedIn.
Do you guys know who owns LinkedIn?
I don't think so.
Microsoft. Just saying. You
Just
heard it here first in Cafe. We just connect dots here on this show. That's all we do. We don't report. We don't report the news. We just connect the dots. That's all we do.
Mind blowing. Microsoft, I see you. I see what you're doing.
So another story that we have for you, rumor mill wise, is that EA He's giving out Battlefield 3 keys, and they changed the picture of BF Social, further hinting at maybe a Battlefield 3 remaster.
I love this tweet where they gave out this handful of keys and it was kind of first come, first served, which is fun and cool. But also, after maybe 10 minutes, you could probably safely assume that all of these keys have been used up.
Take it down.
There's no reason to like retweet it further than that.
No.
But hinting at a remaster, people are like, oh, why is Battlefield 3 being stirred up again? What are we going to expect from this?
Yeah, I think this is purely the kind of like the bridge to the next major Battlefield game that happens. There was a several years ago where there was a couple of games that kind of took this for them. You had Battlefield 1943, which was the continuation of the 1942, success and story. And then also one that I felt like was very short-lived and could have had a lot of longevity if they allowed it to happen was Battlefield Hardline. Another game that was very fun to play. People really liked it, but then once they just stopped developing for it, it went back to what we know now with 1 and Battlefield 5.
I wonder if there's going to be more hype about Battlefield 3 because this tweet was cool, but I also feel like it wasn't a huge tweet either. So it's just making us raise our eyebrows to see what's going to be coming from this.
Mm-hmm.
Our next rumor is that AT&T is seeking the sale for Warner Brothers gaming unit, which could fetch about $4 billion.
These are really big titles that we're talking about under the Warner Brothers division of gaming. This amount also makes sense because this is the same amount that Disney bought LucasArts. So yeah.
That's a lot. That means a lot. So in this are Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, the Lego Movie, Mortal Kombat,
Batman.
Scribblenauts, Batman. I feel like if depending on who this goes to, those properties could really become way bigger, and this is an extremely valuable sale. I wonder who it's going to go to.
And then the other part of this is this report as Microsoft might be actually the one looking to buy WB Gaming Studio.
Which to me would make sense because I feel that that Sony has a lot of Sony exclusives there, and if Microsoft has these properties, then it could really hold its own with exclusives.
We could see that moment of, okay, the Xbox Series X has exclusives that compare and could actually battle against things like God of War. As a person who plans on jumping into PlayStation 5, I really hope this isn't true because there are these games that I would love to experience and not have to go buy the trash can console. But I will say that this is just kind of one of those moments that makes sense if Microsoft goes forward with the purchase.
Especially with the Games Pass, if they're trying to be the Netflix of games, like these are a lot of great IPs. This would be incredible for them to have in their roster on that Games Pass.
Thank you, Coombs. I will take that last warning. I appreciate it.
But with that brings us to the end of our news today. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone, for getting your daily news rundown right here on the Caffeine channel. If you want to sign up, you can join the conversation and click the star to get a notification each time we go live.
Yeah, already, Kai. Yes, we are already at the end. But again, don't go anywhere because Zand's coming up with some gameplay, so have a lot of fun with Zand. But for the gaming news hour, we are done and we'll be back tomorrow. Thank you all so much for being here and all of those watching at home. We can't do this without you, and we really appreciate all of your participation, feedback, and interest in this hour.
Thank you so much. I am Kaisa.
I am Marrone, and we will see you later. You all have fun with Zand.